Greg Brockman just made his move at OpenAI, and nobody was really watching. The co-founder is quietly consolidating power right before the company goes public, and this single decision tells us everything about where the company's headed next. OpenAI's been through massive upheaval over the years. Sam Altman's been the public face, the CEO everybody talks about. But behind the scenes, there's been a lot of pressure, a lot of drama, a lot of questions about who's actually steering the ship. This new consolidation is OpenAI's answer to those questions, and the timing is everything. Here's what's happening. Greg Brockman, who's been president and co-founder since day one, is taking on more direct control of key operations. He's not replacing anyone. It's not a coup. It's more like OpenAI's finally decided that before they go public and face billions of dollars of investor scrutiny, they need a clearer, more stable power structure. And Brockman's the person they've chosen to anchor that stability. Think of it like a ship's captain getting a stronger grip on the wheel right before sailing into a storm. The company's been growing so fast, dealing with so many competing interests, safety teams, research labs, business divisions, government relations. Someone needs to be the steady hand that ties it all together. OpenAI's betting that person is Brockman. This isn't just internal reshuffling. So who exactly is Greg Brockman, and why does his power consolidation matter more than you might think? Brockman's been at OpenAI since the very beginning in 2015. He's not the celebrity founder like Altman, and that's actually the point. Brockman's the technical co-founder. He wrote the code that built OpenAI's first systems. He's an engineer at heart, not a showman. While Altman's been out pitching the company to the world, shaking hands with presidents and tech CEOs, Brockman's been the one making sure the trains actually run on time behind the scenes. For years, Brockman worked quietly in the background, running product teams, overseeing technical strategy, making sure ChatGPT actually shipped. He's the guy who brings order to chaos. OpenAI's had some pretty chaotic moments, departures, internal conflicts, different factions arguing about safety versus capability. Through all of it, Brockman stayed steady. When Sam Altman was briefly booted out of the company back in 2023, Brockman was right there too, stepping down in solidarity. That tells you everything about their partnership. But it also tells you that Brockman's loyalty is to the company's mission and values, not just to personality politics. Now, as OpenAI faces the biggest moment in its history, an IPO worth tens of billions of dollars, the company needs someone like Brockman. Someone who can be trusted, who understands the technical foundations, who isn't distracted by ego. And here's the twist that nobody predicted. The co-founder who spent a decade in the shadows is now stepping into the spotlight. What exactly does power consolidation mean in the context of OpenAI? Let's break down what's actually changing. Brockman's new role gives him more direct authority over product decisions, research directions, and how the company's most valuable asset, OpenAI's AI models and technology, actually gets built and deployed. Think of it like this. If OpenAI was a restaurant, Sam Altman was the celebrity chef owner doing interviews on television. Greg Brockman is now the executive chef who actually runs the kitchen, decides what gets cooked, how, and in what order. This is bigger than just titles. It means Brockman's voice carries more weight when OpenAI decides whether to release a new capability or hold it back. It means he's overseeing the teams that actually build the models, not just reviewing their output. It means his technical vision, which is deeply shaped by safety concerns and responsible AI deployment, is now the North Star for the entire company's direction. The consolidation also signals that OpenAI's done with the model where 50 different people have veto power over a decision. You need speed. You need clarity. You need one person who understands both the technology and the business strategy, who can make judgment calls in real time. That's Brockman's new job. But here's what's crucial. This isn't Brockman seizing power. This is Altman and the board handing it to him deliberately. So how does this actually change how OpenAI operates? Let's look at some real examples of where Brockman's increased authority matters. First, ChatGPT updates. Every time you see a new version of ChatGPT, there are dozens of decisions underneath it. Should this new capability be released immediately or tested with a smaller group first? Should we wait for safety evaluation or launch now? These aren't technical questions, They are business and ethics questions that only a CEO-level person can answer. Now, Brockman has more direct say in those decisions. Second, competing products. OpenAI is not just the AI company anymore. There's also enterprise products, IPI services, partnerships. All of those compete for engineering resources and attention. With power consolidated under Brockman, the roadmap gets clearer. You stop having different fiefdoms all pulling in different directions. Third, industry relationships. When OpenAI talks to governments, partners, or competitors about what they are building and planning, there's been ambiguity about who's actually deciding. Is it Altman? Is it the board? Is it the research team? Now there's a clearer chain of command. Brockman becomes the person who knows the full strategy and can speak with authority about it. Fourth, talent and retention. Inside OpenAI right now, there's a lot of brilliant people who want to know, who's really in charge? Who do I report to? Who actually makes the decisions? Consolidating power under Brockman gives people clarity, and clarity helps with retention. People want to work somewhere that has stable leadership. And that's just the beginning of how this ripples through the organization. So how does OpenAI's leadership structure compare to other AI companies, and why does the way they've chosen to organize matter? Let's start with Google DeepMind. That's owned by Google, so the entire AI research operation sits inside a massive tech company. Leadership is complicated because you've got Google's corporate structure above you. DeepMind has autonomy, but ultimate power is with Google's CEO. It's a very different dynamic. Microsoft has OpenAI integrated into its business, but OpenAI still runs relatively independently. The difference is, Microsoft already went public decades ago, so they're not figuring out how to structure a hyper-valuable company for an IPO right now. Anthropic, which is OpenAI's biggest competitor in the AI space, has Dario Amodei as CEO and Daniela Amodei as president. That's a co-leader model, similar to what OpenAI had, but with a clearer separation of duties. Dario focuses on research vision and external strategy. Daniela handles day-to-day operations. OpenAI's consolidation under Brockman is actually different. It's concentrating power rather than splitting it. And then there's the AI model, where Elon Musk is directly running the company. That's an extreme version of power consolidation, one visionary, one decision maker. What OpenAI is doing here is deliberate. They are saying, we need a single technical operator who understands our entire stack, who can coordinate across research and product and business. That's not the same as giving Brockman total control like Musk has. Why is OpenAI making this move right before going public? That's the crucial question that nobody's asking. When you go public, investors scrutinize everything. They want to know, does this company have stable leadership? Can it execute? Will the CEO get hit by a bus? Is there a succession plan? What happens if the founder leaves? These are hard questions that investment banking teams grill you on for months. OpenAI's been controversial. There's been departures, board drama, safety debates, questions about the company's actual values versus its public messaging. An IPO means all of that gets dragged into the light. Investors need to feel like there's a steady hand steering the ship through the chaos. Brockman stepping into a more consolidated power role is OpenAI's answer. It's saying, here's our technical co-founder, the person who's been here since the beginning, who stepped down when Altman left, who's trusted by everyone in the company. He's going to be the operational anchor. This tells investors that OpenAI's serious about stability and execution. But here's what it also signals: OpenAI's thinking about the long term. They're not trying to create a company that depends on Sam Altman. They are diversifying where power sits. And that's both reassuring to investors and crucial for a company worth tens of billions of dollars. The timing also tells us that OpenAI's IPO is coming sooner rather than later. So what does this mean for OpenAI's future, and what should you actually be watching for going forward? First, watch how fast OpenAI can now execute. With clearer power dynamics, decision-making should get faster. You'll see that in how quickly new features roll out, how rapidly they respond to competition from Claude, DeepSeek, or whatever else emerges. Speed is now OpenAI's competitive advantage, and Brockman's consolidation should enable it. Second, watch the research strategy. With Brockman having more influence, Expect OpenAI to get more cautious about some capabilities while being more aggressive about others. Brockman's always been thoughtful about safety. You might see the company slow down on some frontier capabilities to be more careful. That's not weakness, it's strategic. Third, watch the IPO valuation. The markets love clarity and stability. If investors see Brockman as the steady hand, OpenAI's valuation could be higher, and that's hundreds of millions of dollars in value. This leadership consolidation is basically a financial strategy playing out in real time. Fourth, watch for departures or unrest. Not everyone at OpenAI might be happy with Brockman consolidating power. Some people prefer working in a consensus-driven environment. If talented people start leaving, that's a signal that something's not working. If retention stays strong, it means Brockman's got the organizational respect he needs. Last thing to watch, what happens with Altman? He's still CEO, but Brockman's got more power now. Here's what this really comes down to. OpenAI just made a bet that they know how to run themselves. A bet that Greg Brockman is the person who can steer the company through the chaos that's coming. The AI industry is accelerating. Every week, there's new competition, new capabilities, new questions about how these systems should be governed. OpenAI's been the leader, but that position isn't guaranteed. Claude is getting smarter. DeepSeek just shocked everyone with what an open-source model can do. The competition is real, and it's getting sharper. By consolidating power under Brockman, OpenAI's not just preparing for an IPO. They're positioning themselves to compete harder and move faster than anyone else. They're saying, we've got the technical co-founder who understands our entire stack, who has the trust of everyone in the company, who can make the hard calls. And we're putting him in charge of execution. This is OpenAI's way of saying they're serious. This is them proving they're not just a hype machine or a company built on one personality. This is them showing they have the organizational depth to be a generational company, not just a flash in the pan. The coming months will be crucial. Watch how fast OpenAI moves. Watch what they build. Watch whether this consolidation creates the clarity and speed they're betting on, or whether it creates new tensions and conflicts.